Hello and welcome to my channel. Now in today's video, I thought I'd talk all about what I take into work. In this video, I'm not going to be talking about some of the essentials that you are probably expecting. I'm not going to be talking about diaries, pens, pencil cases. What I'm going to be talking about is this. So every day when I go into work, I always have this bag, and I was actually given this bag as a present by my head of department a few years ago, and it's always full. Lots of people probably see me on my way to work as I'm getting out of the car, going into the department with my laptop bag, with this and my handbag, and they're probably thinking, why does she have so many bags? I'm going to tell you, I'm the kind of person that likes to be prepared and prepare for the worst case scenario in some occasions. However, lots of the things that I'm going to be showing you that I keep in my bag every single day are things that I honestly think that a lot of people probably, they do take in, but they don't always necessarily use, or it's that kind of essential thing that you don't take into work, and then when you need it at work, you're like, why am I not bringing this to work all the time? Let's get straight into it. So one of the first things that's really a given, but I see so many teachers actually not bringing this into school, and that is a decent sized water bottle. But not just a water bottle, no. And this more applies probably to people who are travelling around a lot in secondary school, who are constantly on the move. Doesn't mean this won't be primary. With a handle, something that is not going to spill, something that you can easily carry. Now the reason why I think this for me is an essential is that doesn't matter where I am in school, I have got this. If it's in a meeting, if it's in a classroom, if it's on a duty, I've always got this because firstly, staying hydrated is key, but secondly, just the fact that you just don't know when you're going to obviously need a drink. And the big thing that I think is really important, and I've seen a lot of teachers actually, if they do have a water bottle doing the same thing, is having something that you can keep track of. I am somebody that notoriously has been known for not drinking enough. And even though I take a bottle into work, I'd probably have something that wasn't necessarily this big, or something that I'd kind of drink a third of it during the day because I would just be so rushed around that I wouldn't even think about it. But actually having a water bottle like this that has the times down, but also a handle, is just so useful when I'm often juggling things, going from one lesson to the next. If I ever forget to take this into work, which is never, but if I do, I'm literally at work at 8 AM wanting to cry. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is something that I think is an essential, and I carry something like this around with me regardless to school or not. But again, it's something that I think people sometimes forget about. A medication bag. Now, this is not specifically medication that I necessarily need. What I mean by this is just going into work and taking things like paracetamol. Even just taking a packet of paracetamol into work can make a difference. I can't count the amount of times that I've got to lunchtime or the end of the day and I've just got a headache like nobody's business. And there's nothing that I've done massively wrong during the day. It's just one of those things. Or when a colleague has asked me, does anybody have any paracetamol? Does anybody have any ibuprofen? And I'm always there like, I've got your back. So don't forget about small things like this. So another thing that kind of leads from that, and is something that probably people would be more likely to take in if they have had an accident, or if they've got any back pain or stomach pain, or it's in the winter, that's a hot water bottle. Now, again, probably you're thinking, how old are you? As I get older, I have around about 3 or 4 water bottles and I love them. But I always take one into work. And again, the reasons, like I said previously, pains, you don't know when they're going to happen. But actually, sometimes it is just cold. Especially in the winter months when I know I'll be going into work really early, and sometimes I'm literally sat in my office shivering and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Also, like I said, it's one of those things that you don't know when you might need it, and a lot of people probably think, I can't take something like this into work because I can't be seen to have a hot water bottle. If you are in pain, use it. It's like any job. Nobody would want you to continue to work if you were in pain. This is the same as painkillers. It might not be an essential for you, but it's definitely an essential for me. Next, and these kind of things, you're probably realising there's a bit of a trend here. Hand sanitizer. Now, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, and you're probably thinking, you're just talking about this because of the pandemic. No, I have always had hand sanitizer with me whenever, and especially whilst teaching. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have a huge bottle like this. This is something that I kind of keep in the house to use as a refill. I actually have a small hand sanitizer that I have hooked onto my lanyard. So I probably should have talked about this when I was talking about the water bottle previously, but I've actually started to take in a little squash refill in my bag. Again, it's one of those things that I take in a full water bottle with squash with me, but actually I'm trying to drink more than just that. I know that I don't drink enough. So having something like this is quite useful to keep in your bag. I know this is probably an obvious or a given one, but actually stay hydrated. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is probably very niche, and some of you will not consider, and that's absolutely fine. However, I have been using these for quite a few years now. I always carry one of these around with me, whether that's in my bag, whether that's actually in my pocket. And I've had a new box recently, and these are the roller balls. These are actually just not only useful for moments that you might feel a little bit nervous or a little bit anxious, but actually these really help me sometimes just to kind of reset myself. I use these sometimes in a morning or at break or at lunch or even after school, just to kind of, they help me to refocus and unwind. So, would you have any kind of bag if you didn't have some snacks? Now, I know I've got a huge packet of biscuits here, and I usually wouldn't have a whole packet of biscuits. Usually it would be something like a cereal bar or crisps or something like that. But, okay, I'm the kind of person that does just usually take in their lunch day to day. However, I do take something extra, not necessarily a whole packet of biscuits, but I usually take something extra into work because, like I said previously, with things like medication, there are going to be days where you get to break or you get to lunch, you get to the end of the day and you're just like, I need something. And sometimes that something is literally sugar. It's something that you're looking forward to. It's a little bit of a treat. And sometimes you don't know when those days are going to come up. I often have like a spare few cereal bars or chocolate bars or sweets actually in my drawer at work. Yeah. And no shade. I think, you know, that's the kind of thing that really keeps me going some days. That actually, you know, sometimes I've had my lunch and I'm thinking, you know what, I still need an extra something. And you just don't know when those days are going to be. And again, that's a given, but don't be afraid to take in those snacks. And just kind of the last few things that I'm going to be talking about that, like I said, none of this is like notebook, diary, pens, pencils kind of thing. I'm saying this, I've got two more things. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is something that I actually decided that I would buy last year, so around about April 2020. And this was because of the amount of screen time, obviously, that I was getting used to because of teaching from home. And that is, I'm going to model them for you, a pair of computer glasses. So you've probably seen these a lot. I know lots of people are using them now, but some blue light blocking glasses, might have got that completely wrong. However, we get the idea. Some glasses that I just feel a little bit more comfortable with if I know that I'm going to be staring at screens a lot. I do wear these at home, but I also take them in at work because there'll be some days that it might be that after school or in the morning, that I'm having to stare at a screen for a long amount of time, and I can just feel myself getting a headache. And I've had my eyes tested, it's nothing like that. It's just actually the amount of screen time that currently with teaching online that we're all having to be more conscious of, but actually just having a pair in school that, you know, there might be some days that regardless whether it's looking at a laptop screen, I know that when I teach, I'm not staring at my laptop screen really at all. It's there to kind of me go between the slides as I'm presenting them, but actually just having a spare pair as you're going to work has really helped me when it comes towards sometimes headaches that I get from screen time. And the last thing I'm going to be talking about is having, and I'm not going to get them out because I've got like a spare top in there and a spare pair of shoes, but having a spare pair of shoes or a spare top just with you. And again, this is probably going to seem like something very bizarre, but I know that especially at the start of the new year where, you know, teachers are like getting your new pair of shoes, and there's some days where I'm just like, my feet can't cope anymore. So just having a pair of comfortable shoes just with you, just, you know, it might be at break or at lunch that you just want to put on, but actually, you know, I've seen scenarios where, you know, shoes have broken, or less likely the shoes actually, it's more moments where, for example, you know, somebody spilt something over themselves, or even just a layer, and having an extra layer in your bag. I know sometimes I can go to work and be like, oh, I'll be fine, and then I get into work and I'm freezing. So again, it might seem something quite niche, but I tend to always take in and just have, even if it's not in my bag, just in my car, a spare pair of shoes and sometimes a spare top, because you just don't know. Anyway, those are the kind of things that I keep in my bag day to day that probably might not be the obvious. Like I've already said, obviously I have things like your notepads, your pens, your planners, but let's be real, we all know where we can get these stuff from, and we all probably know these are given things. The things that I've listed are stuff that I've noticed that often people can forget about, or most importantly, that sometimes people kind of put to they don't prioritise. So I hope that this has been useful and insightful, and maybe giving you some ideas of, actually, you know what, I'm going to start taking some paracetamol into work with me, because you just don't know when you're going to get a headache. Until next time, I hope that you have a fantastic week, and bye bye.